Hi there boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Random Geek channel. And today we're doing a proper range test of the Ninebot Segway ES4 scooter. So I've fluffed around with ranges in the past, haven't done it actually properly, and that's because I just ride around and I roughly measure how far I go. But today we're going to do a proper range test on the Ninebot scooter today. And how I'm going to be doing that is I have a course laid out and we're going to see how far this thing goes. So the course that I've laid out is a lap of the local school in the area, and the great thing about this one is it simulates different types of terrain. So it's very rarely that you ride on perfect straight roads and smooth pavement, and that's just a matter of the fact. So the ranges that you see on advertised sites for these scooters is pretty much just a guide, and you're never going to get those perfect ranges, and that's because no one is like 70 kilograms and riding on straight flat roads. So if you're riding a scooter around, you're riding on pavement, you're riding on sidewalks, you're riding a bit off-roading, you're going down hills and up inclines. So this is going to simulate that. So we're going to be measuring it in the Ninebot app, and at the moment I'm in the car park, so this is going to simulate in which I'm going to be riding on the road. And the great thing about so technically in my state you're only allowed to ride on the road if you are overtaking or it's not safe to ride on the sidewalk. So if you're avoiding pedestrians or there's an obstacle or hazard, but you are briefly allowed to go on the road. I'll be going at the recommended speed limit here, which is 25 kilometers an hour. But I will be riding in sports mode because everyone rides their scooter on sports mode. No one rides it on eco or normal mode. So this is how I ride. Today I'm actually 85 kilograms, so that's 187 pounds, and it's quite chilly today. It's 11 degrees centigrade, so 52 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's only going to reach a maximum of 17 degrees. So I'm going to plug the camera in and we're going to go for a ride. And the great news is I've been using this course as a standardized course for any other scooters or skateboards or whatever I'll be riding in the future. So I should be able to plot this out in the future. Okay, so let's get riding. So okay guys, and we are off. So this is the smooth pavement bit, and this is roughly a 5-degree decline down here. So going downhill, technically I can use regenerative braking here, but I'm not going to because it's just at the start, but I'll do that later on. And in my state, you are allowed to go on the roads if you're overtaking a vehicle or if you are trying to avoid an obstacle or pedestrians. So, and this is also going to mimic when you have perfect smooth roads as well. Alright, so now we're on the actual sidewalk. So this is very typical of the sidewalks in Australia. White, not too smooth. I can feel the cracks and the bumps in the pavement here. The great thing about the Ninebot ES4 is it does contain dual suspensions in the front and at the back. It does smooth the ride a bit, but with large cracks you do feel it. It doesn't have pneumatic tires though, and that's because that's how they designed it, and you don't really worry about getting a flat. But you will have to change the tires on this thing. I've done about 270 kilometers on this thing now, so I had roughly 8-9 charges, so the battery is definitely I've actually punched that in, so it's operating at optimal. I did charge this to 100% on both batteries, so estimated range was about 44 kilometers I believe, but we'll see how we go. So typical range here, I'm doing 23 kilometers at the moment, so just under. And if you are hearing that beep, that beeping noise is the cruise control activating. Alright, so we're going to floor it down here. So this is a steep incline. So I did measure this the other day. So this is almost exactly 15-degree incline, and it goes on for roughly about 120 meters. so about 360 feet for my American friends, and I'm flying at the moment, and this is handling perfectly. I'm going 20 kilometers an hour at the moment, and that's because I was slowing down. But if you ever run quite fast, it's actually picking up speed now, going down 22, 23, and this pavement is a lot smoother. It's a lot more even. The cracks are, yep, nice, pleasant riding. As I said, you're never going to get perfect riding conditions, because a scooter, you're supposed to ride everywhere, and normally your commute is not perfect. It's a bit more flat here, but the next bit here is a very, very steep incline, and this goes actually 25 degrees straight up. So I'm going to slow down a bit just for safety. Probably shouldn't have slowed up that much, but that's alright. So, bit of a rubber strips there, and we're just going to ride up this. Yep, so picking up speed again, 20 kilometers an hour. Okay, so the next bit is I'm going downhill. I'm going to brake quite aggressively because it's really, really steep. So this is roughly probably about a 35 degree decline, and the pavement here is kind of horrible, so I am going to aggressively brake, but that's going to regenerative brake some power into the battery. So, but yeah, just be careful here. Alright, now this bit is a bit rough. So this is paved tile, and you will hear the wheels going clank, making a lot of noise, and that's because, yeah. So this is typically what you would get on most areas where you ride. If you're riding on the sidewalk or the pavement, it's going to be rough, it's going to be bumpy, and there's a bit of water up ahead as well, and so it's not recommended to ride in wet conditions, but sometimes you do have to, especially with scooters. They do tend to slip and slide. Well, it's not just scooters. I also ride like electric skateboards, and they're really, really dangerous in the wet. They do tend to slip, even with an all-terrain board. But anyway, we're going to keep it going. So this bit is pretty rough, but make sure that you're wearing nice comfy shoes, nice thick socks, and you pretty much don't feel it. I am wearing a bunch of warm clothes at the moment. It is a bit chilly out here. It is the middle of autumn, and if you're wondering why I'm outside in the middle of a pandemic, Australia has eased the restrictions at the moment, and that's because we were doing very, very well in terms of controlling the current outbreak. So you're allowed outside, you're allowed in gatherings now. So I'm going to speed right up. So I'm going 25 at the moment, and we're back in the loop. It's a good thing here, I'm going to speed up, and then I'm going to just cruise along here and see how we go. So that's pretty much the loop, and it's roughly just slightly over a mile each way. So it's going to be perfect. I'm just going to count how many laps that I'll go here, and I'll see you guys when I'm done. And we're going to, I did realize that in terms of measuring the distance, I did forget my my sports watch, which has a GPS in it, and I was going to use that as a second point of reference, but I did forget that I really did forget that. So it is a point of reference. I do. The Ninebot app does tend to slightly overestimate the range by a couple of, about probably 1 or 2 kilometers. And that's because it's not using a GPS. It's more about measuring the amount of rotation of the wheels. And that's more to do, because it doesn't have a GPS unit. Then again, so pretty much unless you're riding in a straight line, the measurement is not going to be perfect. And that's just the nature of the fact that that your wheels turn left, right, and it's not perfectly straight. It's sometimes on the diagonal, and Yeah, unless you're riding in a straight line on perfect roads, if that's not going to be perfectly accurate. Then again, your GPS unit's not going to be perfect either, because most mobile phones, their GPS accuracy is only about 3 to 4 meters, even on high-end phones. So there is a bit of variation. So the truth of the matter is you are going to get roughly, so the truth of the fact is probably a bit somewhere in the middle between, but I'm going to take this reading. So it's all going to depend on how you ride and how heavy you are. So I'm 85 kilograms today, so a bit heavier than your perfect ideal rider of 70 kilograms, in which most scooters, when they do the testing, are. And well, I'm Australian. I grew up eating beef, and like most Australians, we are a lot larger, even through I'm an Asian Australian. I'm a lot larger than your typical Asian, and I grew up in an Australian diet, so yeah, definitely a lot heavier than your average rider here. Okay, so I'm gonna keep doing this, and we'll report the numbers every now and then. So I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, up the incline again and floor it. Okay guys, welcome back, and I'm actually having a break now, so we're about halfway, and if you can see the phone here, if it's focusing, it's not going to focus, but I'm trying to read it out for you. So at the moment I'm at 47% on the internal battery and 46 on the external battery. I have done 16.1 kilometers, and I've been riding for about 45 minutes, but that's probably about 40 minutes of actual riding time. So the battery started at 17 degrees Celsius, and it's now up to 28 degrees. So the scooter was in my warm house, and I was driving around in the car, so it is insulated in there. And the battery does heat up when you ride and when you push it hard, so it's up to 28 degrees at the moment. So the app is telling me that I've got 21 kilometers left to ride, but we'll see how we go. There is a bit of voltage sag when you hit probably about 7 to 8% on the scooter, and about 4% it pretty much dies. So I'm going to keep it going and see how we go. I'm just going to take a break. I'm averaging roughly 23, 24 kilometers an hour. On the app it says 20.8, but that's because I've been taking breaks and playing around with the camera. So I've just pulled on this little side strip here on the way, and we're going to keep going. I'm just going to scratch my legs because they are getting a bit numb, but we're going to keep going and see how we go right at the end. All right, I'll see you when we are up to the next update.
One eternity later.
Okay, so second pit stop. So we're near the end. So it won't focus on the phone, so I'm just going to read it out. So I'm down to 18% on the main battery and 17% on the external battery. So remember, this is the ES4 with the external battery. So total wattage is 374 watt hours. So I've been riding for an hour and 11 minutes, averaging now to about 25 kilometers an hour. So I've actually picked up speed. I've currently, yep, that's the locals for you. We do get a lot of hoons around here, but it's all good. So I've currently done 25.5 kilometers. So the battery has picked up a lot of heat at the moment. So it's measuring at 32 degrees Celsius. So when you do really push the battery hard, it does tend to heat up quite a lot. I'm going to see how it goes. I have noticed a slight bit of voltage sag on the scooter. So at around 35 percentage points. When I was going up the inclines, I was decreasing in speed probably about 2 to 3 kilometers. So you do notice like a bit of voltage sag. I'm not too sure what cells that Ninebot uses in here. They're holding quite well, so it'll be interesting to see how high the C readings are on this scooter, but we'll see how we go. So I'll be shooting again once I start noticing some really severe voltage sag. I'm expecting that at around 7 to 8% from experience, but we'll see how we go. Okay, I'll see you on the last leg.
Eventually.
Okay, final pit stop. We are actually at the end. So I thought I was going to get a voltage sag at about 7. I didn't experience that at all, but I hit it at exactly 4%. And 4% it hit hard. So I was going with the first incline and I barely made it up to the top. It was going probably about 3 to 4 kilometers an hour. So pretty much at 4, at 4%, it's pretty much dead, and you're pretty much you end up like walking the scooter. Like I was riding it manually to this pit stop here. So my camera's just not going to focus on the things. I'm just going to read it out. So I'm 3% on both batteries. It's saying that I have 1.4 kilometers remaining, but that's really doubtful. I hit 29.3 kilometers, averaging at about 25 kilometers an hour. So ride time in total was 1 hour and 23 minutes, and the battery peaked at 32 degrees Celsius. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ride the scooter until it completely dies around this small little car park here, and then we're going to try something a bit different, and I'll show you what I'll be doing next. Okay, I'll be right back.
A few moments later.
Okay guys, I'm back, and that did not last long. I tried to do a lap and it completely died on me. So I'm calling it now, and we reached 29.5 kilometers with 3% remaining on both batteries. So a total ride time of 1 hour and 24 minutes. The battery reached 32 degrees Celsius. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually charging the Ninebot scooter. And how am I actually doing that is with a portable solar power charger. So this is something that I recommend. Any person who rides a scooter, an electric skateboard, one wheel, you name it, I always carry this around. So this is the Saoki S270 solar battery. I have done a review on this device, and I've made a video about portable charging. But what we're going to do now is just sit around. I'm going to be playing on my phone, catching up on social media, and probably check some work emails, and it's going to charge. And the great thing about this little buddy is it's going to charge the battery really quickly. So as you can see, I'm already up to 4% in under a minute. And the power efficiency on this thing is quite amazing. I only have to charge this for a couple minutes so I can make it back to my car. Obviously I can ride this like any old scooter, but what am I? Yeah, that's disgusting. I'm not doing that at all. So specifically when I can bring something like this along and just charge the battery. So this thing weighs under a kilogram, so just roughly I think it's like 2 pounds, I believe. So it's really light. You can carry it around. It's going to charge the battery. I think this is 150 watt hours. It's not going to charge the battery up to full, but in 10 minutes time you're going to have enough charge to get back to where you're going. So just in case you're stranded or you're just a couple of kilometers away from your vehicle or local transport, or if you have to call like an Uber or a taxi and you're in an inconvenient situation or actually its location, you can use that to charge instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge it now. As you can see, look, another minute it's gone, 5%. So I only need like a couple percentage to make it back to the car, but it's an option to extend your range. The great thing about these scooters here, so this is the Ninebot S4. This came out probably about 2.5 years ago. So in that period of time, scooters have come a long way. So when this launched with the extended battery, it was the fact that it can go 45 kilometers on a full charge. That was the stated range, of course, but at that time most scooters were only doing 20 kilometers at maximum. So this was a real eye-opener for most people who are riding it now. Now scooters these days, you've got you know, you've got Dualtron, you've got Cabo, you've got the Zero X range, you've got 20 different other manufacturers out there, and obviously Ninebot has launched their Ninebot Max, which gets 60 kilometers an hour. So when I first got this, riding in eco mode, I was hitting probably about 42, 43 kilometers on it. Riding in sport mode during the summertime in Australia, so roughly about 35 degrees Celsius, I was hitting probably 38 kilometers. So obviously it's a lot colder now. So today it was 16 degrees. At the moment, I'm going to check the weather now. Just let it update. So at the moment it is 17 degrees centigrade, so half the temperature of when I tested out first. So we hit 29.5. So that just demonstrates how much temperature affects your range and also how you ride it. So I was riding in sports mode, obviously, and riding pretty hard up inclines, down inclines, and on pretty rough terrain. And this is the result. Anyway, I'm just gonna let it charge. Just gonna check my phone, and I'll be back in probably about 10 minutes, and I'll show you how far this portable power bank has charged the battery. So, yep, I'll be back in a second.
12 seconds later.
Okay, and we're back, and after 10 minutes of charging, I am up to 12%. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to pack up. So that's how easy it was. So 12%, that should be enough to head back to my vehicle. So I'm just going to pack up, and so hope you guys liked that video, and hopefully someone found that helpful. So if you like that video, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, press that subscribe button if you want to see more. I will be doing more electrical vehicle reviews later on, when I get some more in the way. But hopefully if you guys are wondering about buying the Ninebot ES4, hopefully that was a bit of help for you guys. They are really cheap now, so when they launched they were quite pricey, but given the fact of how popular scooters are these days, you can get them for quite cheap. Alright, as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.